What up, Pittsburgh Steelers fans? Welcome to this episode of the Steelers Global Perspective. I'm Matty P with Shannon White.
I want to throw a question out there.
Okay.
I'll throw it out to you, and I want to throw it out to the community. I almost wrote an article about this a while back. And here's the question.
Okay.
Puka Nacua.
Yep.
I'm a huge fan.
Yep.
A monster fan of Puka Nacua. I think him and Cooper Kupp are very similar. They're both great route runners, great hands, tough. Just they're top of the game. But you have two of the receivers that are so similar.
Yeah.
I would ask, would you trade Puka Nacua for George Pickens? Now, that would give the Rams a receiver that they don't have. They would give, that contested catch, explosive, down the field player, and complement Cooper Kupp, and it would give the Steelers a guy who I think is destined to be one of the top receivers in the NFL for a while now. Now, I also believe that about Pickens. If the maturity factor is there and the work ethic, which I think we'll see a new Pickens with a new competent quarterback and offensive coordinator. But that's the question. Would you trade that straight up?
No, I wouldn't.
And why?
And it's interesting. You know why it's interesting? I'll tell you why. That is interesting because I was going to say to you before, they're going to have to pay George Pickens. And I was going to be a cheeky, I was going to be cheeky and say, well, they could always trade George Pickens for draft capital and then go get another cheap rookie wide receiver, right? Which they, is an option. But I was like, no, I don't think they'd do that. I think no.
Pickens is proven enough now that if you're going to trade him, I can see a player for player of somebody of the caliber of Puka Nacua.
The reason why I say no is I think the ceiling is higher for Pickens in what the Steelers need with that, the ability to combat catch. I'm not saying Puka Nacua can't do it, but Pickens has a rare ability in that area. I think there's a grittiness to a player like George Pickens, who was a Georgia Bulldog and who's now a Pittsburgh Steeler. I also think that Puka Nacua has one of the best arms behind him, even as Stafford ages. I mean, like his just ability to throw the football around the
really
field,
good, yeah.
And his placement. And when you saw it when they had Kupp back, it was like 2 games after Kupp was back. After Stafford was back last year, that it was you could see the NFL showed highlights of isn't it great Kupp's back and it's actually helping Nacua. And like they were just watching these catches that Kupp was making with Stafford, but it opened up Nacua as well. But the point more is that Matt Stafford was placing some absolute dimes around that field, right? Absolute dimes that those wide receivers could haul in. And I don't think Pickens has had that. And for Pickens last year to go over 1,000 yards, I mean, incredible with the crap that he had at quarterback. Let's be straight up on that.
Yeah, definitely.
So I kind of, as I say, I think the ceiling is higher for Pickens, but Pickens is starting to gain such a reputation as someone that you've got a double team, but that's going to open up more of the offense. And while Nacua was a production machine as a late round guy,
oh, he broke the record, yeah.
It didn't really instill the greatest of fears amongst other defenses. And again, it was like, are you gonna go double Nacua as he runs, as he goes deep, and then Cooper Kupp's going to get a short pass and then destroy you, when he gets the ball in space. So I know it's a little bit of a gamble on the upside, but I'm I wouldn't yet, because also Puka Nacua could be a one-hit wonder. I mean, Quez Watkins did well in that first preseason, when the Philly
Yeah,
and
but
Philly
you
ran
can't
11.
compare those two.
No. But I'm just
But
saying. But
here's
he's never
the,
performed. Quez Watkins has never done anything in the season of like what he's done in preseason. So all I'm saying is that like we can see things and then not see them, down the track. And so I guess my straight answer out to you, keeping it, short is no, I wouldn't make that trade.
I've seen enough of Puka Nacua that I believe he's special. Now I'm talking about on the field and off the field.
Okay.
The concerns that I have about Pickens, I don't have with Nacua. This guy has got his crap together, let's say. He is a football player first and foremost. He's a team guy first and foremost. What I'm wanting Pickens to reach on being able to run a full route tree, Nacua already can. Let's think back to Tennessee's offense under Arthur Smith when they were hugely successful. A top 3 offense in the NFL. Yes, Derrick Henry was a large part of that. But A.J. Brown, Corey Davis before him, it wasn't a lot of deep stuff. It was a lot of favorable matchups, chuck plays, 20, 25, 30 yards. Big catch, great route, run after the catch, and it just, they dominated time of possession.
Yeah.
That's what they're wanting to do. Now, Pickens can give you them explosive long touchdowns. But I need to see him this year give the Steelers that Hines Ward effect, so to speak. That he can do it all, make all the catches, tough in the, and keep possession, not just touchdown catches. Not big, just splash plays, contested catches, but just because of superior route running, being that reliable.
Well,
target.
and that's why I'm happy to hear. I'm
happy with everything he's doing.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that if you was saying right now, I trust Puka Nacua to do that more than I can trust Pickens until I see him do that. Now, I agree, you can't base it on last year because he didn't have an offensive coordinator or an NFL caliber quarterback. But all I'm saying is I watched one guy do it, and the other guy I think can do it, but he's not proven it yet. So at this point, I'd have to say, yes, I would consider that trade. Now, after this year, it might be totally different. But after this year, it would be, we'll have the answer.
Yeah.
But I just think that having Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, the Rams would benefit from having something different across from Cooper Kupp.
I understand that. I like that thinking. There's probably only 2 players. There's probably only 2 players I would trade George Pickens for that semi-realistic. Like, obviously, I'd love for Justin Jefferson to be a Steeler, but that's not going to happen. No. But there's 2 players out there which are also quite unlikely to happen. Except one of them, I think I look at it and I'm like, well, if we, same for Puka. Like, if you're going to trade him for Puka, then you probably can get this guy. And that is, well, one, actually, before I get to that guy, I'm a big Michael Pittman Jr. fan. I have been coming since he came out. I think he would be terrific in this role as well, in this offense. I would think that, like, if you flipped him for Pickens, I think Michael Pittman can do a lot. But I'm not sure he's got the route tree, the potential route tree that Pickens has. So we've got to see that, which you and I just talked about. There is one player in the league, though, that I definitely would trade Pickens for, that I would imagine the other team would probably want a little bit of capital because the other guy's more proven, but it would be open. And I don't want to. We're going to get comments in here. People like, why don't you? I have a George Pickens jersey. I don't want it. Well, not a jersey, but like a player T-shirt. I don't want George.
No,
Pickens
this is hypothetical.
This is hypothetical
because we're talking about long-term value.
But Chris Olave, I would have in a heartbeat. I am really high on Chris Olave, and like that guy is a machine. That guy catches it deep. He catches it short. He runs a good route. He's got good hands. He's physical for his size. I'm a massive Chris, you talk about a deep ball with Russell Wilson. I'm a massive Chris Olave fan. I just am, and I think you could rescue him from down there in New Orleans, and I think he's going to be a fantastic player in this league, and he has surpassed Big Little some of his production last year. And it's not just I had him in fantasy, and mate, he ripped it for me. Like, he was terrific. But I think he's delivered. I think he was picked 13th or 17th. He's well proven what most years you get in, a top 5, top 10 wide receiver draft pick. I'm a massive Chris Olave fan, and he too hasn't had much good quarterbacking down there, and he still played pretty well. Not as bad quarterback play as the Steelers have had, but I mean, I'm a big Chris Olave fan. I think he's a really good player.
All right, I'll answer it quick before we get back to the. I threw that question out there because I wanted to hear what the community said, and you. I'm not as big a Pittman fan as you, and I know he's been with Atlanta, and he hasn't had the quarterback play.
Colts.
Oh, I'm sorry, Colts. But yeah, I don't know why I said Atlanta. Anyway, yeah, I'm not as big a fan of his. He's a very good receiver. I think he needs to take the next step. I would definitely not trade Pickens for him because Pickens is more explosive.
That's what I'm saying. I think he's got more potential. Yeah.
Now, Chris Olave is already a top 3 route runner in the NFL. He's right there. I mean, he coming in, that was his calling card. The guy can run routes. That fits what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
When I say Puka Nacua, Chris Olave fits the same thing.
So I mean, you put like a King of Hearts down. I'm like,
yeah,
he's an ace.
Exactly. I want somebody. The only way I would trade Pickens is for somebody proven to do these things that number one guy has to do in Arthur Smith's offense. So I do like that answer. Now I would do the Puka Nacua trade, but I see what you're saying.
Would you do Puka Nacua over Chris Olave though?
I love Puka Nacua, dude. I'm just telling you. I like Chris Olave too, but I like Puka Nacua off the field as much. I love his attitude. If you ever listen to that guy do an interview, that is humility, that is toughness, that is a warrior's mindset. You give me those kind of guys on a football field, and I'll win a championship.
Yeah, well, fair enough. I think Chris Olave's good, and as someone,
but I had to bring that up, throw it out there because I wanted it to be a discussion point, and I think it was.
One of my Madden teams at the moment has Chris Olave and George Pickens on it, and it's a good time. I also really like the
loaded at receiver.
Well, I play with rookie quarterbacks to keep the team cheap. So
yeah.
That's how it rolls. Matty P with Shannon White, as always. Go.